cut it off. Welcome to Way Too Much. It's your boy Johnny Gators, Ghetto Governor. Got my boy John Ross Marcus Cox in here, and came today on this beautiful day, 4/21, day after the greatest holiday of the year, in my opinion, to speak to y'all today a little bit about weed legalization and some bills that are going on here in Kentucky, trying to get through legislation. I believe there were three that were up on the up for a vote this time around. I think one got through the House. It was medical only. Medical only.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that bill passed, in my opinion, prematurely, as it's not going to serve the purpose that I think people intended to.
That's what I think. I'm right there with you on that.
One, it didn't cover enough symptoms, which the only symptom should be, if you want it, you can have it because you're a grown adult. But we'll get into that in a second. But to be honest, I think everybody's going to know where I stand on weed legalization, because I'm about to fire up this joint right here. But coming from somebody who doesn't smoke, I'd like to hear your take on it first.
You know, so let me get everybody back up a little bit. So we just told you I don't smoke, never have smoked, none of that. We'll get into this a whole lot. I didn't do hardly anything like that growing up. My dad died of a drug overdose when I was 10, and was all into that booger sugar and all that. So kind of kept me away as a kid. But so I used to equate everything with that. You know what I mean? I thought everything was just like highway to hell. You know what I'm saying? And then you grow up in the Southern Baptist Church, and it's a whole other element to it. You know what I mean?
100%.
And so. But I always knew I felt a certain type of way about it, or didn't feel a certain type of way about it, and like that I didn't have enough information. And so, as I've been going down there into Frankfort this year, it was one thing I was kind of trying to fill out where what he stood. I'm always trying to learn to see where I'm going wrong, or if my opinions are misguided or whatever. And one of the reps that I kind of got close with along the way, his name's Jason Nemus. He's a state rep he's got part of Oldham County, Kentucky, and Jefferson County, Kentucky.
He supported the medical marijuana bill that passed, right?
Well, and the big thing about him is, and he would tell you this, but not that long ago, he was against all of it. He didn't want any of it legal. I mean, he didn't want any part of any of it. And so, for him, he's came from that to this medical marijuana piece. And so one of the days I was in his office, some of the, I don't want to call them medical marijuana lobby, because I don't look at them like lobbyists. They're really trying to take care of some, it's like vets and people that are paraplegic. There's a paraplegic guy in there. Yeah, I mean, people that need it are in there.
Supporters, not lobbyists.
Mm-hmm. And so, we kind of got into it. But he's sponsored he's co-sponsored some legislation with Democrats and stuff like that. Atticus Scott, Pam Stevenson, and them. There's another state rep from Louisville. I can never remember her name. I gotta look it up. What?
Her name starts with
Kulkarni or something. I think it's
Cool.
Kulkarni. I think that's how you say it. But
Kulkarni.
Yeah. He's been he's co-sponsored legislation with them. But man, for me, I feel like the medical marijuana, it's one of those ideas that sounds good. You know what I mean? But you got to dig into the details and how in government we attack one problem and then we don't think about the ancillary either benefits or downfalls of it. And I'm just one of these people, so I'm kind of I'm a freedom-minded individual, and I feel like it's either good or it's bad. You know what I mean? I feel like if we go medical marijuana, and that bill that was up in the House was HB 136, was the one that was for medical marijuana that got.
It's the one that passed.
It's the one that passed one chamber. I ain't saying it's a bad bill or anything like that. I just think that, just like with so many issues, I'm afraid if we do that, then we just stop even talking about it going forward, because everybody's going to think it's just fixed, and then the conversation's not going to get changed at all, and not going to go to the next step. You know what I mean? And so, I wanted to kind of bring to light some things to you and see what your thoughts were as far as a couple things that I see wrong. Like, we go the medical marijuana route. You go into other states. One of the big issues is, in order to get that medical marijuana, you have to be diagnosed with something. So in Kentucky, we know all about the pill mills.
Right.
Are we going to turn into having these weed mills, and then you get this card, and then the government's labeling you a certain way, and your rights are impacted in some other form or fashion because you are allowed now to use this illicit drug that would be frowned upon if you didn't have it, and now it's affecting your driver's license or affecting your Second Amendment rights or affecting, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Or like trying to figure out if that card is still valid and maybe you didn't get it renewed in time, but you still got some medical marijuana in your car, and now you thought it was legal and it ain't. Now you're getting pulled over for possession and distribution and everything else. I just wonder if we're looking at all the negative possibility consequences that would come from it.
Well, I think we're not. First off, but I think it's all kind of stems back to one thing, and that is the label that marijuana has carried since 1937 and the Marijuana Tax Act. That's a Schedule I drug, and I think when people hear that, and even if you go talk to a regular person, you say, "What do you think about weed?" Most people are like, "Meh, whatever." Yeah. You may not even have an opinion, but according to where was that at? MPP.org, 91% of Americans support legalization of medical marijuana at least. So, to me, that's a no-brainer. But going back to the Tax Act and it being a Schedule I drug, until you can get that stigma off of it, I think it's going to be really tough to get people to see the actual medical value in it, because not only is the Schedule I hurting its name, it's also keeping it from being researched properly, because the research is only being done for the negative impacts of marijuana. So when people think of, oh, they're doing medical marijuana research, they're not doing research to find out if it helps you beat cancer. They're doing it to find out if it kills you from cancer. You know?
Well, I think a lot of that research actually is getting done. And now it doesn't necessarily mean that it's
not according to a 2013 study that says 94% of all research done on marijuana was research done.
Yeah,
for
I mean, I would be interested to know if it was if it's changed. And obviously, it's been almost 10 years ago. But I know that those groups that are coming down there in support of it in Frankfurt, I mean, they're coming in with information. You know, I think one of the hardest problems with that kind of research is so much when it comes to like pain or
subjective.
It's all subjective, exactly. You know, so if it's coming to pain or if it's coming to you know, like mental state, like someone with like you know post traumatic stress disorder.
I'm sure you've heard this statement before. If anything ever happens, just say your back hurts. They can't prove it one way or another.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so that's not the opioid epidemic. You know what I mean? So it's like I almost feel like too, you know, the opioid stuff is really hurting potential marijuana because people are associating it. Like we know how we messed up in the 80s and 90s with opioids,
right? And
went from just like not being willing to give anybody anything to literally, I mean,
give it whatever they wanted.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna tell you right now, like anybody watching the show, what I encourage everyone to do is go watch the show Dope Sick on Hulu. If you want to really get a feel for the negative, you know, possibilities coming along with like big pharma and making this a medical marijuana the only way of obtaining marijuana.
Right.
It's like it's a slippery slope pumping it through Purdue Pharma and all this place. You know what I mean? All these drug companies. And so, but you know, that stigma from opioids is bleeding over into this. Whenever anybody who's sitting down one-on-one and discussing these drugs, like there's no way that anybody can say that marijuana and opioids are having any type of the same effect on someone
in the same class.
Yeah, so like
I mean,
for
they
me,
are.
like you know, I don't smoke it. I'm not even saying I like approve of people smoking because I don't have any experience with it. You know what I mean? Never smoked it, so I don't really know.
Never.
I mean, I guess I'm getting like secondhand right now.
That's,
I may have took a draw off one or something at one point in time, but again, like
secondhand.
I'm one of these people that from where that stuff happened with my father, it's like I'm just spooked by drugs. Really, you know what I mean? Like I'm afraid. I almost have that same stigma in the back of my mind that I'm afraid it's gonna like kill me if I take like a drag on it. You know what I mean? Like even though I know it ain't gonna happen. I mean I have hit a joint before, but it's like I was younger and I was I don't know that I tried with it. You know what I mean? I think I might have been trying to look cool and just blow the smoke out real quick and
Right.
not really do anything from it. But like, I'm old enough and wise enough now to know not, I can't be judging everyone else because it's like I don't see people dropping dead from marijuana use. I don't know if there's ever been a documented case of a death solely responsible,
No.
that marijuana's solely responsible for. So,
Pretty sure you have to smoke like 5 times your body weight or something.
yeah. So it's
Something
like,
crazy.
when it comes to like driving or whatever, it's like, I'm sure there's something I'm sure there's some kind of impairment, but I mean, people are on all
Sure.
kinds of drugs that are impairing their driving. You know what I mean?
for
Like,
sure.
if you're on a prescription for ADD and you're taking like Adderall or Ritalin or anything, it's like that's impairing your peripheral vision and as far as like the way your brain's focusing.
You put the same warnings on it that you would medication, because for most people that's what it is. Now for me, I'm a recreational user. Now I've never been diagnosed by a doctor, but just like most people on the planet, I've probably been using marijuana to self-medicate for a while. I mean, I took a 10-year break due to some other issues, but I mean, marijuana it's a lot more helpful. Everything points to more help than harm. Like if you look at it on a base level of humanity and you just say, is this helping more people or hurting more people? There's no denying that it helps more people than it hurts.
Well, but see, like, I feel like that argument is like on another level, at a fundamental level, we're talking about governmental regulation. You know what I mean? So like,
Right.
we're talking about what you're talking about. There is like a culture, society, and societal acceptance. We're talking about like government regulation. If there's no evidence that it is directly harming people,
I mean,
the government has no business in it.
I
You know what I mean?
agree.
So like that's why I'm afraid of going the medical marijuana routes, because it's still making them regulate everything, and it's pumping it through these big pharmaceutical companies, and so it's
I mean,
still
they're going to regulate it no matter what happens, even if it's recreational. And be honest with you, I don't have a problem with the regulation. I mean, no one should have a problem with it, to be honest with you, because one, it's going to be safer for people like me. You know what I'm saying? Or people who need it medically. And it's going to be beneficial for everyone, even people like you who don't smoke. The tax revenue that it's going to bring in, the amount of jobs, the tourism and things that it's going to bring are just immense. I mean, I've got all these numbers in front of me that I could go over. Colorado, 7 years, $1.8 billion and counting as of February 2022. $538 million to their schools in 7 years. Straight, just from recreational. That's not even including medical. That's just recreational. Just straight tax money. $538 million to the school system. I mean, it's unbelievable. It just doesn't even make sense. I mean, 33% is how much the job market grew in marijuana. 33% in a year. 107,000 jobs. 145,000 in the financial sector. And by 2025, they're saying that business and finance will be growing by 8%. Marijuana jobs will be growing by 25%. And if they legalize it, as they're hoping federally, or at least take it down from Schedule 1, they're saying 4 times that. So that would mean 100% from right now the amount of jobs there are in 2025. There could be possibly that many more jobs. I mean, I don't know if you've seen New Jersey just went today, started recreational marijuana.
I see it. Nope.
This morning, today, right now, somebody standing in line. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
April 21st, 2022. First in New Jersey. They're predicting at the end of this year, $1.5 billion in sales. It's April. It's the end of April. So you're talking 7 months. 1.5 billion is their prediction of what they're going to make on recreational marijuana, and they right now, as of today, they only got 13 dispensaries open in the whole state.
Well, look, here's the deal. Right. What you're saying now is there are proponents out there saying all this stuff. When I look at, so it'll probably take me a couple minutes to get this out, but we go look at, so the House bill from 2022 that was, I'm pretty sure it was primarily sponsored by Jason Nemus. It was HB 136. All right, its co-sponsors are, I mean, across the aisle, right? So you got like Republicans, you got plenty of Democrats, you got big, but you got those big business Republicans. You got the big business Republicans. Matthew Cook, I think it's something Kevin Timoney or something. He's an Irish cat. Looks straight Irish too on there. He got the red hair comb over. You know what I mean? Like, so, but you got like so. But so what I feel like we add in this whole podcast arena is just like getting down on a fundamental level and bridging gaps. And so like, why this stuff ain't passing? So HB 136, it had 44 co-sponsors across the aisle. All right, to pass, you only got to have 51 total people vote for it. So you got 44 on the bill, including the Speaker of the House.
Right.
So like, and this has been the case in Kentucky this whole session, is the Senate it's such a problem. I mean, the Senate is the good old boy, like Jeb Bush, smoke a cigar at the country club, Chamber of Government Kentucky, and I don't even care if they see this and they get mad at me, because we're trying to do something so powerful here that it doesn't even matter if they mad at us, right? Like, we're trying to start a revolution of real people, like speaking up and being like, "You're gonna do what the heck we want you to do, or get the hell out of Dodge." That's what we're trying to do. So, like, again, I'm trying to be confrontational, but you got that many people in the House that support this, all right, and it's not even getting touched in the Senate, right? So, but when I look at the co-sponsors, we're not seeing not very much rural crossover. So like I said, there's just as much of a gap between rural urban Republicans,
right?
Even in the chamber we like, which is the House right now, and like my hope is that I can help those guys see the other side of the coin of the people that their culture is so similar to theirs, and they're just not recognizing it because they had never been immersed in like black culture the way I have. Because you have a lot of these they're rural reps that are like pastors or whatever, and they do care and they do have the people's best interest in mind. I mean, you got Chris Fuqua from Harlan, you got Josh Calloway. I mean, he's like one of my really good friends right now. He's out of Hardin County, and I think like Breckenridge County or something. You got Josh Bray out of East Kentucky. You got William Lawrence. I mean, just all kinds of them down there, right? Like, and I feel like it's still this stigma to where like down there, it's hard. No one's going into like these Southern Baptist churches and like saying, "Hey, listen, you'd rather your people be smoking this than being in the bottle, and like, sure. This isn't like the drug that's like killing people, and there's a difference in promoting something's use and just saying, look,
it's alright if you want to.
Look at what this is doing to our society and our culture. I mean, that's what worries to me about, like, when I think about medical marijuana, you got to go to get a medical marijuana card. The majority of those cards that go out to get those, it's going to be a mental condition, right? Yes. So think about how that expands out into other things and how it's going to affect you. I mean, like, that immediately affects your Second Amendment rights. Like, if you're diagnosed with a mental health condition,
right,
and let's be honest, as soon as medical marijuana became legal, if that was one of like, if you had any kind of, let's say, just like depression or anxiety or any of that stuff was included, you have dudes from where we're from lined up,
for sure,
to get it. And so, like, imagine taking one of the most patriotic portions of the country, all right, saying you can do something you already do now as long as you get this card, as long as you have you classified a certain way. But it's also one of the most armed populations of the citizenry, and now you immediately flipped it to where, like, as soon as they get mixed up in anything, they get arrested for anything, right? That immediately is going to be on the table for them to be like, okay, well, you can't be on these. You got a concealed carry, or you don't, or you had a weapon in your car, and in Kentucky you don't have to have a concealed carry anymore, but you have a mental health condition.
Right.
So you go look at these things on how they pile up charges on people's cases. Just adding another thing to pile up charges on people. You know what I mean? And so, like, I see it as a way since we're not pushing for this legalization, I almost wonder if there's a certain segment of the powers that be that see this angle and don't like the Second Amendment and are trying to attack people that way. You know what I mean? And or they see it as a way to like, get people into the or imagine being a dude, you're paying child support and stuff like that. All right, and now you're back in your child support, or you get like into a domestic violence situation, which are very common in where we're from. You know what I mean? And then you throw that extra thing into the mix. Oh well, he's got a documented mental health issue. Like that maybe wouldn't have been on paper before, but because he wanted to be able to smoke weed, now he's went in there and so like, oh, I'm like borderline schizophrenic or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's just saying, and so like I think you're throwing in so many things out there, and I think these guys would be willing to listen to that, or the same thing about like listening to look at our prison system. How many people are locked up because of a drug that's again, I don't care how you feel about it religiously or anything. I do not listen, guys. I'm not a marijuana user. I'm talking about society and culture and like hurting individuals. You know what I mean? And like, is it better for that dude to be locked up because of weed, away from his kids, away from his wife? When he comes out now, he can't even go live with his baby mama because she's getting Section 8 now. If he lives at the house with her, she's gonna lose that. Like, is it worth all that to try to keep somebody from doing something that they're going to keep doing no matter what? And my answer is an emphatic no, it is not.
Oh, well, I do not disagree with you at all. I'm glad you brought up the prison part of it, though, because that's another big issue with it. The amount of people that are incarcerated for marijuana is fucking staggering. I don't even want to look at the number. I haven't looked it up. I'm not going to look it up because I know it's a number that shouldn't even exist. Like, it shouldn't exist. I mean, unless you have mass amounts of marijuana and you're fucking supplying the city with marijuana and you don't have like a contract with the fucking, and you're not paying your taxes on it and shit, you should not be going to jail for it. Like, they should be employing these people to make money, especially in Kentucky. I'm talking about everywhere in the country, but especially in Kentucky, y'all should think about the fact that environmentally, we have one of the best climates in the world to grow marijuana.
We're like one of the largest hemp producers.
we grow. We already. I wrote a paper in high school about how much marijuana was grown in Bell County, Kentucky, back in 2004 or 5. I wish I could think of the numbers. It was something crazy. Like 60% of the outdoor marijuana in the country was grown between West Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee, and 40% of that was grown in Bell County and Harlan. I'm pretty sure that was a stat.
Well, see, and that's
wish I could quote it.
And that's another disconnect, and that's where, like, even in where we're from, Adam Boland's the representative. Like 50 years ago, a Boland would have been kind of removed from everything, from the other side of the tracks a little more, like the south side, the east end trailer parks that are like out from around where I live or whatever. Like, Adam is like he tries to be in tune with all his people in there, and I guarantee you that he would like be willing to listen to this stuff.
But we disagree with you on that, but I understand what you're trying to say.
But we still have so think about the idea of that, like the elite versus non-elite.
No. I understand what you're saying.
But like we have a lot of these. We have this concept that people in East Kentucky are all this super. We are from sort of super religious or whatever, but like you get into. This isn't even a black versus white issue. Like my stepdad is white. He's white as it come. He'll straight up tell you, like, if we're out 4-wheeling or hunting or whatever, you come up on a pot patch, you'd be like, hey, you better get out of there, because Danny Ray's just trying to run a business. You know what I mean? Right. Like Danny Ray does good for the community down. You know, I'm like, even like against the socioeconomic, even like poor white people, all poor white people support this. You know what I mean? They may not for the hour they're in the church building. They may get blinded by whatever's being said and everything. Walk back out in the real world and they're like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like my my cousin, my nephew's doing it right now. So like, they don't want their people locked up. So there's another bill I'm gonna bring up to you. So HB 225. This one was supported. This was primary sponsor was the it's like I said, I don't know if it's Kulkarni or it's Nima Kulkarni, I think.
Kulkarni, yeah.
But this one right here would actually, this has to do with constitutional, we create a new section of the Constitution relating to possession of cannabis. And this,
I think
for
this is the
me,
one I was reading
this
about.
is more about what we need to be pushing.
Is this the one that they were trying to vote? They were trying to vote so that it could be on in November so that the public could vote.
Well,
Is that
I'm just going to read you the sum. So it basically would guarantee the right of an individual 21 years of age or older to possess, use, buy, or sell 1 ounce or less of cannabis and to cultivate, harvest, and store up to 5 cannabis plants for personal use and for production, processing, sale of cannabis. Like, to me, this, so this is going to specifically ask the question to be printed on the ballot.
Bro, I'm telling you, that law right there is pretty solid. I read that one. This is the one I was talking about earlier. Like I said, I wish I would have made a note of it. I'm glad you pulled it up. Because that one's pretty solid. An ounce, and then, what is it, 5 pounds?
5
or
plants.
5 plants you could have? That's pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? Because that's like a good amount to where it's personal use, or even if you're selling a little bit, you know what I'm saying? You just fucking making rent. You know what I'm saying? You ain't fucking becoming no millionaire.
Yeah, you definitely ain't going out to the projects and like slinging in all the corners, and
you're not making $1 million selling it out.
Bro. Yeah, and so like to me, like something like that is what we need to be, because if you can do that, if you can get something like that through, then medical marijuana becomes much easier.
100%.
And because so many people want that already, but I just feel like we're so focused on. We're so worn down as people, and we're so jaded to thinking that we can't get through what we want through, that we're just willing to take whatever the lobbyist groups are willing to lobby for. You know what I mean? It's like
100%.
I'm an individual minded. You know what I mean? Not for me. I mean like the individual as a conceptually.
Right.
Like I want to give each individual the most opportunity to succeed in life and do so on their own accord, without worrying about every step of the way government either government intervention or government infringement, or just interacting with the government. I'm not, so that everybody know when I'm saying that, I'm also not meaning I want to do that and be cutting off all the other social safety nets and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I just want, we can do all that and still give people freedom, and that's the problem. People, like even the right and the left, they get into power. They get into power and they say, okay, we still only want to give you the freedom we want to give you, right? Like we still don't think you're smart enough to make your own decisions. So so we're going to do something. We're going to do something this way, and we're going to make it contingent on you living in the same and whatever project we tell you we want you living in, or what or what have you. And so, but something like this would be something that would give the people a choice, and then it would be on us to spread the message the right way or not. Right. You know what I mean? And so, that's something I'm hoping to be able to do. And I actually, reached out to Jason Eames this morning. That's something I feel like we can, where we add value. And I know where I added value during this session was just being able to talk, speak, all languages, and I mean, like I'm guilty of, it's like whoever I'm around, I kind of talk like them a little bit more. It's like it ain't me pandering. It's just like I'm just comfortable,
right,
in whatever situation. You know what I mean? Like when I'm around you, I probably do talk a little more hood than I probably do like when I'm at the church I go to. You know what I mean?
Comfortable in conversation, but yeah, I would support a bill like this. I will support a bill like this. Preferably, I would prefer a bill that's like, hey, motherfucker, you can go out and sell as much as you want, because I believe that free trade should be free fucking trade. If you live in fucking America and you want it to be capitalist, you should fucking just let motherfuckers sell fucking weed. You know what I'm saying? But since I know that's not fucking a realistic fucking thing, I'm fucking willing to deal with something like this. And that's like I said, that's solid. I mean, an ounce is, because most people aren't trying to be Pablo Escobar. You know what I'm saying? Most people are out here literally trying to smoke a joint or like they really legitimately got some back pain, or legitimately they got like a fucking eye twitch that fucking weed helps. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be some small shit. Like
What made you think of that? You see my eyes switching? You looking at me?
no, it's just
You shouldn't have out me for my Tourette's on camera.
no.
Dude, it's a HIPAA violation, man.
I was not even. I honestly was not doing that. 100% not.
Do you watch the show Snowfall?
I do not watch.
You did watch- first of all, you
I
didn't watch
have
that.
watched it.
But if you watch Snowfall,
but I
I
did
mean,
not watch it.
so like Snowfall is obviously it's a fictional show, but like watch The Wire, watch
all drug dealers are celebrated in media.
well, so watch The Wire. What the point I'm trying to make is watch all the go look about. So you can look up about any drug dealer you'll see that was selling weed. Most of them at some had aspirations of they were trying to get into something else.
Because you don't make enough money.
Because no, everybody wants to be legitimate. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to make it
Oh.
the right way.
Oh, you're talking about that part.
It's
for sure.
But what we do, so we have these little.
It's just you make more money.
We have all these like entrepreneurs out here that like have an entrepreneurial mind, but like they can't even go out because what they're selling is illicit or whatever. They can't even go through channels of having like a mentor. You know what I mean? I'm like,
drug dealers are some of the greatest salesmen on the planet. I'm telling you, that's the truth, and everyone knows that. That's why if you look throughout history, and you look at people who have been into heavy crime and they've made it to a certain level, they're always in business with very, very prominent people because it's the same mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's the same mentality. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of why people have always shunned it kind of out of society, is because they know that in that batch of people, there's a lot of piranhas. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And when you let piranhas in, what do? They eat everything up. You know what I'm saying? So if you take 100,000 people who come from the hood and got some swag about them, some savvy, who know how to do some shit, which there's plenty of them. You know what I'm saying? And you drop them into society with weed farms and a way to package and be artistic, and you know what I'm saying, make their own little jingles to their shit because they good with music and shit like that. You know what you're gonna have? You're gonna have a fucking explosion, and that's what they're afraid of. That's what I think.
Well, so my bigger point is like I feel like everyone. I'm not even arguing for everyone to get into the weed business. You know, like I feel like people
should be able to.
But I'm saying people get into the weed business and stay in it
for sure
because they like barriers are created as soon because if you were selling
you would
weed,
stay in it if it was legal.
Well, but right now
because you'd be able to grow in it.
But right now, if you're selling weed, it's like an automatic. Even if you are one of the good ones that doesn't get caught up in too much trouble, like you're gonna catch a charge.
For sure.
You're gonna catch some.
Eventually.
But like my point is, if we would take that away, so many of those people would end up in something else. You know, very very rarely do we start in a career that we end our career.
Oh, I don't disagree.
So it's
with
like
that.
we're creating.
We're saying
we're creating a step like a barrier from for like an 18, 19-year-old that's having to do whatever to help, like you said, help pay rent, help pay child support. Get in there and like make some contacts and realize you're good at sales and be able to go to community college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
because
sure.
now
that's what's gonna happen.
You caught a charge when you're 17. Now you can't even qualify for any like assistance to go to college.
Yeah. Or I mean, like, yeah, literally, you could be like a 19-year-old kid who like just you straight fucking A's, like on your way to getting a fucking doctorate or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And like catch a possession of marijuana charge and lose like all your FAFSA. And then you can't ever get it back. You can't even get it back.
And so then, like, you have to do the only thing you know you're good at and you have access to, especially like areas of the country we're from, and that's get caught up in the game.
Do what you do best.
You know, and so like, I just think we're not looking at the negative societal impacts on the individual. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like what's happening to these kids, and and just like what we're possibly doing to them. Because again, you got to think about the implications if you're internalizing this stuff and you're thinking you're a bad person along the way, right? And like not having a positive outlook on yourself.
For sure.
Like I think everyone thinks that everybody that does drugs, that they are just okay with crime, and they are just are criminally intuitive or whatever. And I'm like, man, that just ain't how things work. I mean, there are bad apples out there that just literally want to sling dope. There are people that want to do that, but the vast majority of people are good at heart. We're either products of the image of God or we're not. I just don't believe God's putting millions of people on the planet that are terribly evil. You know what I mean? Like, and very rarely do I meet someone and I'm just like, dude, that dude was just, he gave me some bad juju when I walked out. You know what I mean? Like, most people want their kids to like respect them and think high of them. Most people want like their parents to be proud of them, their wife to be proud of them, whatever. But it's like, I'm just like, there's no way to ever quantify this, but I bet the numbers will be staggering if we were to dig into like the black marriage rate, like how much of that comes along with just like negative outlooks on people, on how people feel about themselves, because they are good people, but because they're told they're bad all the time, they have no self-worth. And so why would this woman want to be in the same house with me? It's like, I don't think we think about even internally what we're doing to ourselves emotionally, because most people are hard on ourselves, and how much that's impacting other things, I guess. So I just think that we're, from top to bottom, it's just nothing but negative consequences that could be happening.
Yeah. Damn, I don't know why you kind of spun me right there. You kind of spun me right there. I was not expecting to go there with that. I thought we was talking about weed.
Well, listen, we are talking about weed, but we ain't talking about weed. We're talking about what the war on weed is causing.
I understand that, but what you was just talking about wasn't that. What you was just talking about was when you brought up the separation rate of black marriage and all that shit. That's something totally different. That's a total different subject than
overall it is. But because again, like when it comes to like having if you like self-worth and self-value, what's wrong for self-confidence, it's like that's a compounding effect, you know what I mean? So it's never just one thing. But like that, like if
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, because to me that makes it that like, I guess I just have to say that to me that like almost offended me, because that's like almost like someone trying, like you're saying, like that, like black people have like low confidence or some shit because like we think that about marriage rates and shit, and I don't think that's true of anyone that I know.
So I think our culture in general, where we're from, men have very low self-confidence.
Oh, I don't know. I can't speak for anyone in that department. Yeah, I can't speak for anybody in that department. I guess I personally don't feel that way.
Well, you know how my self-confidence struggles.
No, for sure, 100%. That's just something I just wasn't really ready to talk about, and something I don't really know that much about. But I know, I'll say this. I'll say that being confident is something that everybody on the planet probably struggles with, myself included. And I think I'm a very confident person. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be here talking to y'all right now for nothing. I think you're a lot more confident than you think you are. And I always tell you that. You know what I'm saying? But just confidence is just perception at the end of the day, and how people perceive you is 9 out of 10 times bullshit usually, and that's kind of like what you're talking about, the stigma of how people have portrayed people from where we're from, black people from wherever, the hood, country folk. You know what I'm saying? That's the people we talk about because that's who we are. You know what I'm saying? All the people that the underlings of the world that they would say non-elitist. I mean, first off, stand up and look them in the eye and tell them what you fucking believe. You know what I'm saying? That's what we talking about right here. This weed and shit is, we just talking about that because it's the 420. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, I can hit it up.
Well, so just to jump back to my 1 point a minute ago, I obviously don't know anything about that topic either. I just wonder if there are implications mentally from that. You know, I know.
I'm sure there are
like,
for some people.
Like even go back to our where we're from, divorce rates are sky high down there.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
That's all across
you got
America right now.
Well, but like our little pocket, it's even worse because
sure.
because there's so much drugs going on there, and like the more I learned about my father, the more I realized that like he was in a hole, in a deep hole, from a depression because he knew who he was and where he'd messed up, and he had all these kids he was trying to take care of, and like he was disappointed in himself.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
I can dig that.
And so like I just think we have a lot of that going. Like, when we constantly tell people you're bad, right? Like that's not good for anybody.
I agree.
And
in
this country, so we're all say like, if there's one segment of the population that gets told every single day that something, like from a collective standpoint, is
Blacks
bad.
and brown folk for sure.
It's minority people. So that's really all I'm getting at. So
I
so
understand.
all y'all are watching, don't think
No.
I don't want anybody thinking
you
I'm
just do me for a loop. It's but I'm high, y'all.
I don't want anybody thinking I'm
like
like judging minority people or anything like that. And
It's
so
cool.
I think but I hope along the way I do say stuff.
That's what we here for.
That's stupid.
To talk it
that
out.
way,
Just like
yeah,
that.
that way, so we can talk it out. But like, I just feel like it's one more thing. Marijuana is one more thing to like tell minority people that you're doing stuff every single day that's bad. You know what I mean?
Now that's the truth. Now, okay, but now that
And
I
so
got you.
that extrapolates into marriages. It extrapolates into fatherhood. It extrapolates into being a student. It extrapolates into mentorship, coaching, like being able to accept constructive criticism. Like it extrapolates into into everything. And so I'm talking about on a human level.
For sure.
I don't even really care about the tax money and all that stuff. You know, that's all just benefits that would come from it.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
but that's for the people who don't care about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Though. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody gotta have something.
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's what we talk about. Like for the people who don't like. We can connect to it on an emotional level. Like for me, I have an emotional level to it because I smoke. Actually, you know what I'm saying. You have an emotional level to it because you come from a background where drugs took something from you that you could never replace. You know what I'm saying? Those are connections that other people aren't going to be able to have. But when we're talking about the taxes and that kind of shit, that could be a connection for 2 or 3 other people out of the 10 that we need. You know what I'm saying? So
I think both those are key. But now I think the third big thing is for everybody to realize like this isn't a black problem.
No.
You know what I mean?
This
Like
is an American problem.
We put it on black people because it's easy to throw like as white people. I said I know I go race more so than other people.
Well, I seen a stat that in Kentucky, and I think it was in Kenton County. I should look that up. I'm gonna fact check myself in just a second. But I think it was in King County that you're 10 times more likely to get stopped for a motherfucking marijuana charge and taken to jail than a white person. 10 times, and that was like a survey from like 2 months ago. I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, why are you looking that up? And I'll expand on that. Here's what I'll say about like.
That's ridiculous.
I wonder how much that has to do with the fact that, generally speaking, a white person that gets taken to jail for pills or whatever, like they get pulled over and they got a bunch of OxyContin in their car, they probably got weed in there too. But because the OxyContin, those charges are are going to lock you up longer, and they're like the pill stuff, the war on drugs, are just a lot harsher on pills. I just wonder how many of those white kids that got pulled over, white people got pulled over, also had weed in there, and they just isn't getting talked about because they caught a distribution of amphetamines or methamphetamine or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like,
For sure.
but so I wonder where that's at. But again, if you look around, it's like so many people. You talk about the benefits of marijuana. It's like, again, this isn't just a black problem. Appalachia in general is one of the most patriotic, like military service oriented places on the planet. You know, especially obviously in America as far as red, white, and blue go. We go to war there, Coleman, East Kentucky, Southwest West Virginia, Southwest Virginia, Alabama, and that's who's getting the Marine Corps.
Oh, for sure.
All those white kids, and so all those people are they are the ones coming out. Like, go to a bar and show me somebody and tell me somebody's emotionally unstable and they were in the military, and all I got to do is go look for the whitest dude in the room that looks like me, and that's him. You know, and it's like if there are all these mental benefits to, like, when it comes to marijuana and when it comes to like post-traumatic stress or depression or anxiety or whatever, because those people also are coming from broken homes. You know what I mean? They're like me, their dad died of an opioid overdose, or they're living with their grandparents and they're struggling because their mom and dad never cared about them or whatever. Right. And so, like, it's the people that are racially motivated. Like, this is going. It's a large segment of the white population. It's not just black people that legalizing marijuana would help.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like that's the stigma it gets too, that it's only a black. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
It's not the case.
Oh, it's not even close to the case. But I will read this to you, though. So this is from 2020, actually. I couldn't find the one I was looking for, so don't quote me on that King County thing. But this one right here is from the ACLU, and it says black Kentuckians are 9.4 times more likely than white Kentuckians to be arrested for marijuana possession. Number 1 in the country. Second is Montana. Third is Illinois.
Favorite that link. I'd like to check that link out because that's interesting.
ACL.
From ACLU.
Kentucky.org.
You know, and so, like, I really see this issue as somewhere we can come together. Now, there are foundational issues, I think, fundamental issues between what we would consider, like, stereotypical Democrats and Republicans. You know what I mean? Like, we do have, we're at a time in our country where we're not battling over little issues that have, like, little gray areas. I mean, we have some fundamental problems right now that, like, I feel like the national party affiliation is messing with everybody. You know what I mean? Like, as Kentuckians, we ain't, like, Kentucky's so poverty stricken. Everybody here has been affected by it one way or another, and we've, it's like we don't have these huge cities like Chicago where, like, you could live out in the burbs and never have to go into the hood. You know what I mean? Like, if you live in Millsboro, you got to drive to the south side at some point in time. You know what I mean? Like, if you live in Louisville and you want to go to Indiana, you got to drive through the West End and see, and then you have the overlap of the South End and West End in Louisville, where you got the you intermingling of communities. But this is somewhere we can come together, and, like, I'm trying to get the legislators under to stop being followers and lead on issues. Like, if Kentucky's going to be important, we got to be on the, like, historically we were the frontier. We lived in the Cumberland Gap. You know what I mean? Right. You had to come through Middlesboro to go west. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kentucky needs to be that again and get out in front of these issues, because we're never going to be economically relevant. We're never going to be, like, really, like, culturally. We're never going to lead, like, a not communications, but a technological revolution. But right. we can impact the country from a cultural standpoint,
100%,
especially from, like, a governmental level, because we can do things and get along with things because we don't have as much of a divide, between our populations, and show people, hey, here's how it's done. I mean, instead of, like, following everything Florida's got going on, Kentucky should be. I don't care what they got going on. You know what I mean? Like, and be on the forefront.
Florida's got wild
of things. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I feel about the COVID legislation I was trying to get put through. It's how I feel about the education stuff we're trying to get put through. It's how I feel about this marijuana stuff we're trying to get through. It's how I feel about the prison stuff we're trying to get through. Like, I want this show to bring things to light and make people think about things they've never thought about, and be able to go out and talk to somebody in their community on a somewhat educated level, and like say, listen, to move this stuff forward, we're all just going to have to trust that if we go out, if we ask a question, and it's coming from the heart, and we're really trying to learn. If somebody can't take that question and isn't willing to hear it, that ain't on you no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're coming from a good place and you're saying, it's like, I think we think that if we go out and talk with each other's communities, that it has to be coming from like somebody says something ignorant, you got to be like Ku Klux Klan, or if like a black person says something, you got to be like a Malcolm X, Black Panther or something. It's like, it's not the case. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like those people, like, the Malcolm X's of the world, and them, like, they blazed the path to where we are a little closer today than we were then.
They still talk to motherfucking white people. You think Malcolm X ain't never talked to a white person?
No, like he's actually someone
That's not true.
I like to learn. He's someone
I ain't saying he was like sitting around dapping it up with white people. You know what I'm saying? Like on a regular basis. I ain't no Malcolm X expert either, but I mean, you ain't getting no problem solved if you ain't talking to the other side. And being the intelligent brother that he was, I'm gonna assume he had a few conversations with some white folks.
You know he did.
I mean, it only makes sense to a man that's got a little bit of intelligence himself, I believe. So yeah, man. I mean, getting here, sitting down, having conversation. I mean, that little moment we had there was a perfect example of what this show is going to be all about, and should be all about for me and you and everybody else. Being able to take a moment of unclarity and clarifying it with just communication, passion, good intentions, and just some understanding, you know what I'm saying? And then being able to apply that knowledge and take that with you when you walk out the door, and you engage with the next person that you come across in life. You know what I'm saying?
Iron sharpens iron, baby. You know what I mean?
Always put your nose to the grindstone.
Right now we do have people that want to have these conversations, but they still aren't like you have. It's like I keep telling people, they're like, I hope we can keep this movement going with like parental involvement and all that. I'm like, the only way it's going to get there is if everybody realizes it's going to take effort. Like, you might not have time to watch your favorite Netflix show. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
You have to make an effort and expend energy on. It's tough having conversations with people that you don't agree with. It is hard even to go the extra mile and go to a meeting with a bunch of people in the room that you agree with. That takes a lot of effort. So it's going to take even more effort to get out there and put yourself, be in a vulnerable situation to go to. If you're a Republican, going to like a Democrat meeting, or going to like a urban development meeting, or I'm trying to think what they are, what that group's called in Louisville that I try to keep up with. I'll think of it and bring it up on next time. But like that, I keep coming back to what our little segment a second ago, because so many times someone like me would have said that like in a press conference or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like that would have gotten blasted out here that this guy thinks this way, whenever really the point I was trying to make was that I just wonder how much if this affects that.
Right, you're just
like,
elaborating on the point.
And there's no way to like quantify that, but it's like if it's 25 people and they got 2 kids each, you're talking about 50 kids. That's like their father, their self-confidence is keeping them from going and trying to make amends.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? And so that's the way I really try to come out from everything I do. I come out from like a child level. I just think about kids and how impactful things are. Every little interaction you have with them. And I wish everyone would think that way. Every police, I wish they would think about it every day. I wish all the teachers would think about it. It's like you get in these jobs and they become second nature, and you don't even think they're not even a big deal to you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so it's hard to remember how important like you are as a person of authority. Whether you're a football coach or a police officer, teacher, whatever, and we start having these adult fights. Like right now, we're having this fight about like, discussing sex in classrooms and obscene materials and all that stuff. And I'm like, let's all stop fighting as adults and let's just pull up the information we're talking about. And let's all look at it. And let's think like, put everything else aside and like, do we want kids at not at the discretion of their parents and not with some kind of guidance? Because again, we have to realize, and it's just tough for most teachers because even where we come from, teachers don't have a lot of like crossover. There's not a whole bunch of Evan Robinsons and Jonathan Goodens that are teachers. We come like when we were growing up, teachers didn't, they weren't around people that were smoking weed. You know what I mean? Right. And so like they're not thinking about like they may have good intentions, but what they're teaching or what they're saying, it may require a little more guidance when they get home, and like neither one of us was gonna get that. And we had parents that, what I mean? Like my mom was there and she was a teacher, but like she wasn't the steward, the parental steward that was like guiding me through life. You know what I mean? And asking me about my school day and what happened. So it's like I'm internalizing all that and then I'm running with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like I don't think we think about I grew
up in the streets, so you know how that go. I mean, my mom and them was around,
but it's like the main thing for me. I'm just hoping that we can. So I've texted Nemus. I'm wanting to text Attica Scott and those top and have a conversation with them. And when it comes to like marijuana, my hope is this: like we talk with these people and we're like, listen, I ain't even trying to get y'all to talk to each other. I'm trying to feel all y'all out, and then we're gonna figure out what we want.
Right, for sure. 100%.
We're gonna write it. We're gonna bring it to you.
Yeah, like I said, we can write our own. If I'm writing my own shit, like I told you, you know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck if you sell 25 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe in the entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I'm saying? And if you got the hustle in you to get out and sell 25 pounds, who am I to stop you? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody stop. If you was to go out right now and sew up 25,000 pairs of tennis shoes in your basement and you could sell them, wouldn't nobody say nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you could grow 25,000 plants in your basement and you can go out and sell them, should nobody say nothing to you. That's just my personal opinion. That's my level of freedom, But I'm just saying, as on a real life level, you know what I'm saying? I'm willing to talk to anyone who wants to talk about it because, as I said, we got off onto some other subjects because this show's not just all about weed. This show's about interaction. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many benefits. There's no way that if you sit down and have a real conversation with someone, like even like with me, I'm not no expert on any of these things. But even if you have a real conversation with me, there's no way you're going to walk away thinking that weed does more harm than it does help people. There's no way. I mean, have you heard of apoptosis? They put cancer in petri dishes with different strands of weed and with cannabis oils, bro. And it was just the cancer cells were committing suicide, bro.
I don't think there's anybody anybody in their right mind that could argue against.
You're a lot higher than I am.
The medical benefits of marijuana. I just don't. I mean, like, if it's possible to like put a cloak over people's head and make them think that it's so, and make the vast majority of society think it's okay to make 160 milligram OxyContin. Which again,
right.
Go watch Dope Sick on Hulu. That
Right.
was the next step. They was about to do 160 millis. All right.
Damn. That would have been a lot of people die for that.
Like if that's
that would have been a lot of people.
If that's the case, I mean, again, there's only so much you can smoke.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know what I mean?
You're
There's
gonna
only
go to sleep.
Yeah, you're gonna go to sleep, or you're going or whatever. But like, again, I think everybody needs to go read Dope Sick. But it's like, I think there's another book called Dreamland. It's about our area and how like black tar heroin and how like the cartels got in with meth and with marijuana, and how like driving it into the underground has created this. I mean, so much of our problem
for sure
is behind that. Like, from a patriotic standpoint, I can't imagine how much patriotism we could drive behind, like you said, like those type businesses. Because let's be honest right now, in most industries, there's a blockade of like, they don't want new people in it. You know,
sure, that's what
they
I'm
don't
saying.
want
Yeah,
like.
for sure.
I mean, they don't even want
That's what I
people
was
like.
talking about.
They didn't want. Yeah, you were. You're right. You're right. I
No,
mentally,
you're good.
I just
No.
hadn't.
You
I hadn't
said the
connected
right
yet.
word though. Blockade.
But it's like, it's all. Like, I almost feel like people, maybe they're doing it subconsciously, are. This is like the trying to keep certain people out. We talk about systemic racism.
This is what Mike
You know what I
was
mean?
talking about the
This
other
like
day.
this is like when I think systemic racism. This is where I see systemic racism. You know what I mean? It's like like not in the inclusion of people in the system. Like when I look at the education system now, I don't see a lot of systemic racism there, other than like these types of issues. You know what I mean? Like you got to test higher and get higher scores if you're Asian than if you're other races, because they are wanting to get other more like diversified people in there, but people that deserve it, these Asians ain't getting in because they got school. They got the bar higher for them. You know what I mean? So certain the institutions where we think it's most present, I almost feel like they're continuing to allow that conversation to happen. Like even the right's allowing that to happen because they don't want it to get talked about where it's really happening,
Right.
which is business, which is the prison system. You know, and so it's like we got to change it. We got to change all that, and they're not going to do it.
No.
Either we do it, or either we do it, or don't get done.
And we're gonna definitely get into that, the business part of it, because that's a big part. That's one of the things that Mike was talking about last week, and we didn't really get into it because we kind of got into a little spat. But I wouldn't really want to speak for him, but I'll speak on it. Just about when he had referenced the it's almost like saying that they didn't slap you first. You know what I'm saying? I had made a reference to like you don't have to make it a slapping fight. And he's like, well, that's like saying they didn't slap you first. You know what I'm saying? And bringing up this topic just made me think about that. And I understand what he's saying, like because it is a lot of that in like the business world and shit, like where it's not that you can't get in, it's the amount of hoops you got to jump through to make it there. You either run out of gas or run out of funds before you can make it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So, or they catch you up. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make the funds. You know what I'm saying? Which is what we talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you need a little extra, and you know what we do usually when we need a little extra. I would tell you what I used to do when I was 22 years old. I got me a little wig or something, and I hustled me up some money because that's what people do in real life. You know what I'm saying? We hustle up some money. That's what we do. When you need some money, you get it the best way you know how. And if you come from drug infested areas and you come from country shit like I come from, or you come from the hood, or if you come from the plains of motherfucking Arkansas, if it's money that can be made quick, usually you'll probably take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, again, in real life,
that's real
So
life.
my first real boss that I had at State Farm, I love him to death. Gave me an opportunity, but like, I remember us having a conversation. He just couldn't fathom like not having $1,000 in your bank account, right? But like, people got to realize, and I think most people do realize this. We don't have enough people in government that realize this.
No.
Like, when someone like us growing up needs money, I can't go study for a test to get an insurance license and then wait 6 more months to get things rolling. It's like we're talking about food
2
to eat
weeks.
today, somewhere a roof over our kids' heads tomorrow. Like
Right.
we're not. It's like we don't live in a slow-paced society where things are, play out a long time, and we're not raised. Let's not leave the beaver where our parents are raising us to be like thinking about future problems.
Right.
Like to where we're like planning those. It's like even myself included, I'll know there's a problem along the way, but it don't hit me in the face until it's about to like
Right.
really be like detrimental.
And that's a whole nother issue that comes from the part of it that we kind of touched a little bit earlier. I think you did. Like you can't take away people's safety nets and shit. In fact, there probably should be more safety nets out there for people. You know what I'm saying? Or at least safety nets is. I don't like the word safety nets because I don't feel like you should be catching anyone. You should be giving them a boost to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Because I think you help a lot more people if you start in a better place than if you try to catch everybody up in the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, because by the time you make it to the end, everybody's in different places. Everybody needs different shit to be made whole. If whole,
Yeah, no,
you know
look,
what I'm saying.
100%.
But if you can help them when they're 17 or 14, you know what I'm saying?
We should be trying to.
Mom's helped when the kid's 6 months old or fresh out the wound. You know what I'm saying? Like first off,
We have to stop legislating for the current adult population. I don't know when stuff changed or if it was ever any different, but we have to start governing and living for the next generation, with the next generation in mind. So when you're a parent, that's how you should live.
Better be careful.
You know,
Somebody's gonna think you're a progressive saying something like that.
well, no, listen,
No,
dude,
I'm kidding.
but we gotta throw the
I agree with you
vocabulary
100%.
out the window. I think, to me, that's the most.
100%.
When I think about America,
because that's the way it should be.
that's what I think of as that's the most American thing I feel like I can say is like live every day like you're trying to set your children up. You know what I mean? Like, and take pride in it. It's all mental messaging. You know, it's all like everybody thought I was in Frankfurt trying to get these bills passed, and I was like being confrontational and being like calling people out, and I'm like, no, dude, we make it
fucking a party and use that as our slogan.
we make a choice.
And we ain't got to call it no progressive shit, but that's a good slogan.
Like,
I'll tell you, that was a good one.
We make a choice every day on how we frame things. And again, so we talked about this before. I forget what it was we were talking about, 6 months ago or something. But it's like we need to know there's an issue and be able to talk about that, while at the same time acknowledging the facts of the matter and what we got to do on an individual level to give people hope, and like not make people feel like think that they have no chance of success. You know what I mean? But we have to be able to do that without, we can't be lying to people. You know what I mean? We got to know as adults, 100%. Okay, we're talking about the problems, but we're trying to fix them for our kids, and they ain't old enough to get it yet. So we're trying to steward them into adulthood to where like they come out with hope, and then also with like a reality check too. And so like to me that's one of the biggest issues is just messaging, figuring out how to say things positively, and realize that we're all on the same team. And again, trying to solve it at the earliest level possible. It's like another thing I hope we get to talk about. I know you don't know anything about the school resource officer problem in Louisville, but the crime problem that we're going at them, and we just passed an SRO bill that will force every school in Louisville to have one on their campus. But to me, we're not. Because to even the white progressives in Louisville, they're emotionally putting police officers in front of kids. They just worry so much about kids. And I'm like, here's the deal: if you need an SRO in a high school, it's too late. You know what I mean? Like we should have SROs in elementary schools without all the military garb. Wear a polo and some khakis. And I know you gotta be strapped because you're a police. I get that, but it doesn't have to be like. Boom, right there where the kid's like, identifying, they when they see you, they see a gun. They need to see you as a cop because you're not your name, you have a name as a cop obviously, but to that child, you represent police officers in general. You know what I mean? So if a third grader's getting constant day-to-day positive interactions with a police officer, that's gonna, you have to trust that's gonna, go on into adolescence and teenage and adulthood. And
I have to get back to you on that one though, on the gun part of that one, because let me think that one over, because I kind of think that it's okay for them to have a gun.
No, they have to have a gun there.
I'm saying I think it might be beneficial in the long run, just because I'm now, as a person who, like I said in the last podcast, I do not own a gun, but I do come from a family of guns, and I will be getting a gun as soon as I get my rights back to get my shit. Don't get me wrong, but I believe that the knowledge and the awareness of the gun is very important, and like I said the last time, I believe guns are here to stay. People need to fucking get over it, and we just need to learn how to be safe with them. And that's what I think the awareness of it and the knowledge of it is much more beneficial than hiding it from them as a kid, because I know it benefited me immensely to have been around guns my whole life. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had a little more time, but I got a dentist appointment here in a minute. But
Well, for me, again, I'm not saying it's not important. I think all the little things, all the little actions
yeah,
matter. So, like,
details,
I just don't want the cop. I don't want the kid to
Should be
see a
intimidated.
gun for they need to see the person, and they, at the corner of their eye, I know that dude's got a gun there. So obviously, he's got a little more. Like, he's got a little something on you if you like step out of line.
Be a friendly guy.
You know what I mean? But like, I just want to give kids the opportunity to see police officers as members of the community and someone to be respected and someone to go to when you need help.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
100%
Like, that's what's not happening. And what happened right now is in Louisville, we want guns on campuses so bad at these schools that we're just throwing them in with the older populations of kids, and we're worried about the high schools. And we're only putting them there because of the crime. We're not putting them there because of the kid. We're putting them there because of the crime. And I don't think we think about the kid enough.
I wouldn't disagree.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that's a huge standard to hold, because I think everyone in every job they have should think about that. Like, if you're not going to care about other people, your other peers, everybody knows this. You want to piss a mom off, be mean to their kid. You want to make a mom be ride or die for you, regardless of your political affiliation. Show her one time, step in front of a moving car for that kid once, and she will never even care how you feel about like things. You know what I'm saying? And so, because again, that's you like sacrificing yourself for, especially if you're a white person, you want to show that African American community that you mean business, and you ain't just saying I don't see color. Like, show, like, go out of your way to, like, help the situation by going to the root and going to like minority children. You know what I mean? Like, interact with them and show them that you care, and don't be doing it because you want volunteer credits, and don't be doing it because you want anybody to know who you are. Just put yourself in the community around people and show them that their time around them is important to you, because you only have so much time in your life. So every hour you spend in something else, you better be doing it because you think it's valuable, or otherwise you're wasting, the most important thing you have. You know what I'm saying? So, like, again, to me, that's the thing is just reminding everybody that all this stuff it's a human level. The marijuana, to me, that's what we're missing on marijuana. We're talking about mental health, and we're talking about adults, and we're talking about prison, but we're not really talking about how we're setting people up for 50, 60 years of being a drain on society, but also, like, we're being not even giving them a chance to participate.
Oh, it's simple for me. Like I said earlier, it's very simple. It's you can cut the pie however you want to cut the pie, but in the middle of the pie, it's gonna be some filling, and it's gonna be good filling or it's gonna be shit filling. And when you cut open the pie that's made out of marijuana legislation, it's a fucking good pie. It's gonna make money. It's gonna make jobs. It's gonna bring people together. It's gonna make veterans feel better, cancer patients. I hesitate to use the word cure, but it's definitely alleviated some people of their woes.
People gotta realize the human condition isn't changing.
And at the end of the day, people are going to do it 1,000%. It's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? And until someone can prove that it's harming people on a human level or a physical level or some type of level like that, I think we just got to...
Until we can prove that it's harming people, until we can prove that the drug itself is harming people more than the consequences of its current legal status.
And it needs to be harming others as well. Like, even if it's just harming you, that's not enough. That's not enough, because cigarettes are legal, pain pills are legal. Alcohol's legal.
Listen, this is America. We have
All
we
that
have a
shit's
right.
legal. You have a right to
We have a
fuck
right
yourself up.
to be stupid here.
For
That's
sure.
what's beautiful of America. People think that America's supposed to be this like clean cut, like, here's the bar. It's like, no, that's all. That's what America was always about. Was like
Misfits. The misfits.
misfits and being able to be stupid, and you having the right
And
to
the
do
rebels.
that as long as you ain't hurting other people, or whatever. It's like, and the hurting other people definition is probably something we should on one day as well,
Oh, for
because
sure.
that's like, again, we have these people in all these institutions that are attacking the very like essence of what America's about by taking hold of our terminology and our vocabulary and making like, that's the mask argument. Well, if you're breathing out a sickness and everyone else is getting it, it's
I'm
like,
talking about harming people with intent.
I know, but what I'm saying is that's what's happening is they're
That's-
taking hold of that word and making it mean like,
Sure.
if it saves one life, and it's like, okay, well, we can get there after we deal with the problems that are harming millions of them, millions of lives. Right now, we got problems that are harming millions of people.
Oh, I agree 100% with that sentiment. And I wish I could continue the conversation, but I do really got to go.
Yeah. So look, this conversation obviously isn't over.
It's been way too much, though.
Yeah, when we post this out there, everybody comment, like, share, all that. Like, I keep saying this about myself. I know John feels the same way. I want y'all to like call me on anything stupid, anything I mess up on. Like, we are here because we're trying to have conversations no one else can have, to make so that people can have them, and so that we can all get better and move forward as a people. So love y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving us your hour and 16 minutes of your time.
Yeah, I'll take all criticism and comments. Likewise, praise as well. So y'all enjoy your day. Don't get too high, and get involved. Get involved in your community. Take care of somebody in your community. Go out, help a kid, help an old lady, cut somebody's grass, do something. Learn. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. You feel me? We out way too
There you go.
much.
Good job, man. Thanks. Love you, brother. So there was a